All right, Twitter, sweat bees are coming. We're in our variety plot relay. So you got 2.7 to 4.8. I think there's 17 or 18 varieties this year. And I'm looking back, some of the varieties did really well last year. This was the one that went 108.51 or something like that. And I know why it did it. It's a very promiscuous in its architecture. It really puts on the branches, so the main stem is really good, and then we got these big branches. You can see how much more life we have. It just really packs on the beans. But I want to go off on a tangent today about we're still stuck in an industrial mindset, and now we rely on subsidies. And sorry to put it out there, but it just pisses me off, and I have no motive to continue on with my hands out to make ends meet. I mean, our farm's doing fine. We're very conservative. We're diverse. But what I'm really interested in, you know, Henry Ford came, he made a man with his hands worth 10 or 100 times more. That's a force multiplier. When he put a machine, he did the line, he could make a car. What we got to figure out is how can we automate and delegate nature? And that's why I say the future of ag is not about production, it's about reduction, not production, reduction. So the first thought process when you're saying, I'm growing 2 crops in a year, la da 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 da, he's producing more, that's not the point here. My point is, we've got to figure out a way to reduce, and not just make bigger plants, but actually reduce the trips. So my goal next year is to go plant, harvest, harvest with the relay. And here's how we're going to do it. And the whole point is letting nature do a job and depending on that. Okay, so we're going to come in where this wheat strip is right here. Instead of doing this with a 750 drill, we're going to do it with the Dom Pluribus, take biochar out of our hog barns and make a 19-inch strip 10 miles an hour. Okay, it can go right behind the combine, right behind corn. And here's the trick in the spring. Same machine, you got one machine, hood sprayer behind it, just spray that time and space. So with the John Deere drill here, we had 4 7.5-inch rows, okay? The weed isn't going to allow weeds to grow in that space, so why put it through the stress of laying down 2,4-D or dicamba in that space? All we've got to do is spray this area right here. And if we protect that with the hood, we can wait past joint, we can lay down residuals, you know, cheap stuff like Dual, mix that in there, and we can actually expedite canopy closure through a birdshot pattern of the soybeans. So, you know, the Twin 19 works, but this is what you're really waiting on. Sorry, the space between the soybeans as far as weed control. So laying down that residual, we can maybe put, you know, plenty of residual down and we can get to harvest. And you got to think more dynamically when you're thinking about nature. So not only can we omit herbicide in that space, but here's the value here. If I go out and double crop, I'm planting, say, 5 or 6 times the wheat seeds of wheat. But now I'm wasting the most valuable days. I'm wasting June 21st through July 15th. And I'm letting the sun degrade my carbon. So I'm getting the ground, you know, 100 degrees every day. In this system right here, we can actually increase density from tillering with our straw. And since we're laying the corpse or thatch down, and we freshly lay that down, and then we're zipping it back shut with the wheat, we're not letting the sun and the heat degrade that carbon. So we have more of a thatch layer. We have cooler soil conditions. We have a soybean that started really early that's rooted down deep, and you just build a bunch of resiliency. So the point of the system is, if we can get it to where we can rely on a good establishment early on the soybeans, we can cut the population way down and delegate the plant to do a lot more by just having a shit ton more pods, a shit ton more branches. And, you know, I think we got 100 bushel beans here. Plant a little bit May. So why would we plant, you know, 250,000 like we do in double crop, plant 110,000? With the wheat, same thing, save on the herbicide. Let me get my breath here while I got you. So you can see how much greener they are. They're starting to turn down there at the 2.7s. And you can just kind of see the spectrum. And last year we saw about a 37 bushel increase from the earlies to the lates. And it's all context. If you're going to go big wide relay, you need big ass beans, or you're wasting that space. You might as well go earlier and thinner and narrower if you're going to go earlier. Okay, so here's our corn beans planted later, and you're not going to see the gazillion pods like you are in the wheat. The point of the wheat and the point of this, honestly, is I think we get more contribution margin in the corn, really milking the curve, get more revenue. I think we got 150, 160 bushel corn here on about 11,700 population. I shared earlier, we got about 2 ears on here, and I was trying to just figure out what the economic optimum is with that. But going